This is the TNA Wrestling Victory Road 2024 full show results video, which takes place in San Antonio, Texas. The show started with a match between Kushida versus Leon Slater. The match ended when Slater escapes the hoverboard lock and sends Kushida to the outside. Slater then dives onto Kushida and Kushida then slams Slater off the top and applies an armbar finisher to win the match by submission. We then head to the back, where Gia Miller is interviewing Josh Alexander about his upcoming match against Joe Hendry. Alexander talks about Joe Hendry being in his world when the bell sounds tonight. Alexander then says after he beats Hendry, Hendry can go back to his keyboard and write and make funny videos. The next match happened between Eric Young and Steve Macklin versus Hammerstone and Jake Something. The match ended when Macklin hit a running spear in the corner and Young got a 2 count with a diving elbow drop. Something then slams Macklin and Hammerstone puts Macklin in the torture rack, but Young breaks it up. Then Jake Something hits Young with Into the Void and gets the pinfall victory for his team. The next match happened between the Hardys, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, versus First Class, AJ Francis and KC Navarro. The match ended when Jeff Hardy hit Navarro with a twist of fate, then Matt hit Navarro with a neckbreaker. The Hardys then hit a twist of fate plus Swanton bomb combination and won the match by pinfall. The next match happened between Zachary Wentz versus Speedball Mike Bailey for the TNA X Division Championship. The match ended when Wentz then dodged the Ultima Weapon and got a 2 count with a pin attempt. Wentz then hits a flipping DDT and Bailey hits Wentz with the Poison Rana. Wentz then hits Bailey with a running kick, but Bailey then hits Wentz with the Flamingo Driver and gets the pinfall victory to become the new TNA X Division Champion. We then head to the back, where the system explains why Alicia Edwards has been replaced by Tasha Steelz. The system also hypes up their scheduled matches for the PPV and Moose cuts a promo on Nick Nemeth. TNA Digital Media and Canadian International Heavyweight Champion PCO, Rhino, Matt Cardona, and Steph DeLander then make their way down to the ring for a scheduled tag team match, but DeLander grabs a mic and starts to speak. DeLander says her career has felt like a dream. DeLander then says she is proud to be in a TNA ring. DeLander then continues to reflect on her journey and says PCO and Cardona need to figure this out, and she reveals that she needs neck surgery. DeLander then says that she has needed neck surgery for a long time, but she's been fighting through it because she didn't want to let anyone down. DeLander then says Cardona has been a jerk lately, but she could never forget everything they had been through, and then thanks Cardona and tells PCO she found true love in TNA. DeLander then says this friction is not healthy and she needs them to figure this out without her, and then says this is not a retirement speech as she has more to give to TNA, the business, and the fans. DeLander then says this is not a goodbye, but I'll see you later, and then tells the fans she loves them. DeLander then hugs PCO and they walk to the back, and Cardona then kicks the ropes as Rhino is leaving. Cardona then hits Rhino with radio silence and leaves him lying. The next match happened between Masha Slamovich and Tasha Steelz versus Spitfire, Danny Luna and Jody Threat for the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship, and if Spitfire lose, they must disband. The match ended when Luna hit Steelz with a powerbomb and got a 2 count, then broke up a pin attempt by hitting a sliced bread. Luna then blocks another double team, and then Luna and Threat hit a double team move on Masha Slamovich and get the pinfall victory to win the match and become the new TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Champions. After the match, Alicia Edwards has some words for Slamovich, and Slamovich then gets in Edwards' face and Steelz attacks Slamovich from behind. Steelz then continues to attack Slamovich and she stands tall with Edwards. The next match happened between Joe Hendry versus the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander. During the match, Hendry counters a C4 spike attempt from Alexander and puts Alexander in the ankle lock, and Alexander taps out, but the referee is down. The match ended when Alexander kicked Hendry below the belt, but Hendry revealed that he was wearing a cup. Hendry then hits the standing ovation on Alexander and then applies an ankle lock, and Alexander taps out eventually, and Joe Hendry defeats Josh Alexander by submission. The next match happened between ABC, Ace Austin and Chris Bay versus The System, Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards for the TNA World Tag Team Championship. During the match, when Edwards sends Austin to the floor, then Alicia Edwards distracts Bay and Myers hits Bay with a spear. In the end, Alicia Edwards hooked Bay's foot as a distraction and Myers speared Bay, then Eddie crushed a Boston Knee Party and got the pinfall victory for the team, and Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards became the new TNA World Tag Team Champions. The next match happened between Jordynne Grace versus NXT's Wendy Choo for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. During the match, Grace's grandmother in the front row then takes the pillow from Choo, and Grace clotheslines Choo. After the match, Jordynne Grace celebrates her big win in front of her family in attendance, but Rosemary suddenly appears and spears Grace. Chu then puts the sleeper hold once again on Grace and puts Grace to sleep, and both Chu and Rosemary stand tall over Grace. Chu and Rosemary then crawl out of the ring and head to the back. We then head to the back, where we see Santino Marella having a conversation with his daughter and the NXT TNA liaison Ariana Grace. Santino says he is super excited to see Grace and he likes Grace. Santino then says he is excited to work with Grace, but he won't tolerate any shenanigans or monkey business. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Nick Nemeth versus Moose for the TNA World Championship. The match ended when Moose grabbed the title, but Mike Santana rips it away and brawls with JDC at ringside. Nemeth counters a powerbomb into a Faymaster, but the System pulled the referee out of the ring. The System are ejected from ringside and WWE Hall of Famer John Bradshaw Layfield attacks them. Moose then hits Nemeth with a spear for a 2 count, and Nemeth and Moose then trade shots. In the end, Nemeth clotheslines Moose, superkicks him, and hits him with the Danger Zone for the win, and successfully retained the TNA World Championship. After the match, Nemeth celebrates his win and stands tall as the TNA Victory Road PPV comes to a close.